Greetings from the tavern and welcome to the inaugural esports event for Hearthstone Battlegrounds. My name is Gia and it's my great pleasure to welcome my co-caster, one of the most prominent streamers and competitors in the VG community. It's Lissa. How's it going?
I am great. I'm so excited to be here today for our first Lobby Legends Battleground event. Thanks for having me.
We are super happy to have you here. Perspectives from somebody who has been there since the very beginning. 2019 is when Battlegrounds was released. It's been 3 years in the making. I know you, Lissa, have been one of the loudest voices in the community asking for an official open qualification system for Battlegrounds. Because up until now, we have had invitationals. You have had the chance to participate in the Chinese Gold League, but it's the first time that we truly have an open, anyone can make it type of competition for Battlegrounds. And it has all come down to this 16 of the best players in the world. What are you most looking forward to seeing?
I'm so looking forward to watch these top competitors play. It is a grind to get here. You have to be the top of your MMR, and then you have to qualify, and then we're going to have 8 players here today. I'm going to take the Gia to go over the format today.
Yeah, that's right. We do have 2 strap-up lobbies of 8 players, Lobby A and Lobby B, playing out 3 games each. So we have a total of 6 games to be played here, where the top 4 from each of those lobby will advance to tomorrow, the final, where we are playing something called the check format, something very different than anything we've seen in Battlegrounds before. In community tournaments, we've had teams play, usually in pairs. Now it's every man for themselves, and then we have check on top of it. Can you take us a little bit through that?
Yeah, so check format, the way it's going to work is our competitors will still be earning points based on their placement, but once they've earned 20 points, they will put the lobby into check, kind of like chess. So once the lobby's in check, the player who has 20 points or more, the next first place that they get will win the tournament and end the tournament. So you have to get to 20 points, that's the condition, and then once you've hit that condition, you need to get a first place to win it all.
Yes, thank you, Lissa. Very much better explained than subtle just a few minutes ago. And yes, this check format, I feel, will be changing a little bit of the meta towards the end of the tournament, where we could see players going for specifically trying to grief one person who's ahead in the lobby. Maybe we're going to see some bigger risks taken as well. But we are getting a bit ahead of ourselves because that is just for tomorrow. Because today we are just going to determine first who are the 8 players playing it out on Sunday. And that means we have to figure out how they can get to the top 4. It's the point system. Once again, as anybody who's watched Battlegrounds esports before should be familiar with, depending on your placement, you can earn yourself a set amount of points. Anyone coming from Constructed might not be so used to this because it is not a binary nature of win or lose. It is 8 players competing against each other, and so it's all about trying to creep up every single placement you can. Every 1 point, every placement you get, even an individual one higher, is going to matter to the highest degree. And Lissa, I know you've played in some tournaments before where the distribution's a little bit different. Any thoughts?
Yeah, so normally there is a premium put on first place, where first place will get an extra point, and so first place is very valuable. But in this situation, there is not a premium for first. Therefore, you want to play a bit more safer, just trying to guarantee these top 4s, because we only have 3 games, and on top of that, there isn't the premium, so just trying to guarantee these top 4s and getting into the top 4, because sorry, I'm repeating myself, but 4 players are moving forward, so just consistency of getting those top placements is all you need. You do not need to just continually get first places unless you've gotten the bottom 8, of course.
Don't worry, Lissa. The secret to casting is repeating yourself, but the second time you say it, just add exactly, just add more energy the second time and the third time, and then people won't notice. But you're absolutely right. It is just an even placement of 1 more point for every time you go up, distributed in completely fair increments. So it's just trying to make sure you can be as consistent as possible today. Even if you scrape by with 3/4 places, that is, you know, more than likely you'll be able to get through to tomorrow, where the stakes get even higher and the check format enters into play. But what exactly is at stake here for the players is a $50,000 prize pool. Just for showing up, you get $1,250, but it was quite a difficult road to get here. Everybody's playing for that first place prize of 10 grand, but can you talk a little bit more about how the players qualified to get to top 16 in the first place?
Yeah, so basically what the players had to do was, in the February season, they had to get top 16 in their region, and the top 16 per region was invited to a qualifier, which was played offline, though a lot of the players did stream their perspectives. And this qualifier was 2 lobbies, 3 games each, and the top 4 from each lobby progressed until we got to our final 12. That is for APAC, for Americas, and for Europe. China has also brought 4 players and did their own qualification system.
That is right. All the players here, every single one of them has spent thousands of gold paying Bob. They have spent thousands of hours in the game, and now they get to make thousands of dollars. And I know everybody is waiting to see just who has made it so far, who are our top 16. Well, we have them divided into Lobby A and Lobby B, so fear not if you don't see your favorite player here quite yet. Most likely they'll be playing in the second half of the day, the second 3 games, so stick around until the end. But here in Lobby A, we do have Babofat, Bayou, Educated Collins, Karamon, Max 7 Key, Ponpada, Summer, and Zoin Yu. We have an even distribution of players from every region, 2 apiece. Lissa, isn't that awesome?
It is quite incredible, and it's going to be very interesting because we do have a different meta in China. So Summer and Pampada coming over from China, Summer and Bayou will be interesting to watch. And also Pampada and Karamon from Japan, they will also be interesting to watch because they have a lot of tournaments that they play over there. They have a lot of experience, and these are top players in tournament type of play, not as much ladder play. So I think these are going to be our players to watch.
That's right. I think it's sort of an open secret now. I mean, a lot of people didn't know it at the beginning of Battlegrounds sort of competitive history, but Japan has always been a powerhouse here because they have such open communication. Karamon himself known for writing a player dictionary almost on how to play all the different heroes. However, we also have some very strong competition from Americas and EU. I will shout out to Zoin Yu as the representative from Brazil, who is a relatively new player. However, has the entire support of the LATAM community, who are powerhouses in Constructed as well behind him. I'm sure he's going to perform well. And I know there's a player you really want to talk about, Slissa.
I mean, I don't like to have any sort of caster bias. This is purely based on skill and knowledge of the game, and I'm really thinking that Educated Collins is going to win it all. I've played a lot with him. I've competed with him. I've watched his streams. He's just so educational, and I just think he's gonna win it all. I have my money set on Educated Collins.
And that is a great way to plug his stream because I do believe Collins will be streaming his perspective as well, alongside our many, many co-streamers who have graciously signed up to share their own perspectives on this event. This is, of course, the main broadcast, and we do have other main broadcasts in different languages, but the co-streamers as well have a variety of different languages. So if you feel more comfortable speaking theirs, then go ahead and tune into theirs. We are all about sharing the viewership, seeing as many different perspectives as possible, truly in spirit with Battlegrounds, where it's 8 people in a lobby. Lissa, we are so close to seeing the very first game. Our players are just getting set up, but can you tell me a little bit about what has been the latest developments in the meta recently? We've had buddies introduced, but also some other changes.
Yeah, so with buddies introduced, it has really started changing the curve of the game. We weren't doing as much of a standard curve anymore, and we were seeing 2 other curves, a warrior curve and a Jeef curve. That is where you stay on tier 1 a bit longer. So we're going to see that today. This allows you to get your buddies faster. And then it's developed even more because we had friend of a friend introduced, and that created this like hyper level to 6 meta, and then it was taken away, but still there's Seafood Slinger, which is a great reason to level to 6 quickly. So in the past, right before buddies, we were seeing this tier 4 meta where you're going for these avenge cards, and now we're seeing a bit more of trying to get to these massive Amalgadon games. So that's the current meta right now. I will say that we were seeing a lot of Jeef curve and warrior curve previously, but standard curve is coming back. I've seen a lot of players playing that again, and we will be able to see when our competitors are leveling. So that's something to watch for on our side screen when the competition starts.
Yeah, I am very much looking forward to the data that players, community members like Lorinda, yes, I just dissed you, you're not a player, Lorinda, will be putting together. I'm so curious because this is our first official open qualification system tournament. It is truly a milestone for Battlegrounds, which has been already such a core part of Hearthstone as a game for many years now. A lot of our players, and you yourselves, Lissa, originally were constructed players that have now shifted their focus to Battlegrounds. Can you talk to me a little bit about the differences in skill set and what is it that draws you to this game mode?
Yeah, so standard is very much, it's a great game mode, but you're playing the same deck over and over and over again. And the draw to Battlegrounds is just always being super flexible and getting new heroes every game, different minion types every game, Bob giving you awesome minions or terrible minions and adapting. So I just love the complexity and how every game is different. And something else that's different from constructed is it's not win or lose. It is get the best you can do with what you're given. And if that's a 4th place, that's awesome. If that's a 3rd, and if it's a 1st, then it's amazing. Obviously, 8th place doesn't feel so good over here, but it's very different from constructed where it's just a win or a loss. You can kind of salvage what you're working towards. So I think that is the appeal to me as a Battlegrounds player, just the complexity, every single game being different. And I know you, on the other hand, are a legend player and you're top 50 in Battlegrounds right now on the Americas server. So I think
about that. Some accidents happened recently. But let's keep the focus on you, Lissa.
No. Let's talk about you. You play both modes, and do you think the same way?
I mean, I definitely see the draws of both of them. I feel that there's a lot of overlap in the skill set in that managing gold and economy is very important in both of them. Playing to certain curves and knowing what your power spikes are is something to have in common. But my favorite sort of distinction of Battlegrounds compared to Constructed is that I truly believe that play style is a real thing in Battlegrounds. In Constructed, I'm one of those people that think style is a myth. If you have enough time, you can figure out the best play in any given situation, in my opinion. I guess some people would disagree with me, but in Battlegrounds, like so often I have watched 2 players that are of excellent caliber doing a co-op stream, and they just cannot agree on anything. One of them wants to play safe, make sure they get the guaranteed top 4. One of them wants to go for 1st place, and those are both viable ways to climb the ladder. I know there's a certain thing about your sort of win to top 4 ratio, and there's top players that have very different ratios there, but we do have our first game started, and we are on Colin's perspective on the Lord Barovs. Lissa, any first impressions on the hero selections?
Yeah, so if you look on the left, you can see our hero selections. We have some safe picks with Daryl and Deathwing. Edwin's an interesting pick right now, not currently too much in the meta. And we talked about this, how with this current style of tournament, we're going to be seeing some greedy heroes picked probably in game 2 and 3 once people realize that, hey, I need to get more points because I bottom forward. And then you will see some safe picks because you just really need to top 4 every game. So we're going to see more Daryls picked, minion or heroes that are just consistently top 4. But I do love this Lord Barov with the early token, so he could hero power turn 1.
However, we do have max 7 key without a token, which is kind of a big deal when you're on scabs, because on turn 2, you'd really love to buy and then sell your token to be able to press that hero power button. However, he does have eyes on the Barov with 1 elemental. Do you think he's going to take the risk and say that Collins didn't sell on turn 1 to bet?
Yeah, if you read 1 elemental, your instinct is, oh, that's most likely a token, and so you want to hit that hero power button. But Max Key is one of the best in the world, so I think he has an idea that Collins is going to sell to hero power turn 1, and was smart enough not to hero power for the water droplet.
Yeah, that is right, Max.
Sorry about that. Plus, like the early Murloc start is just so powerful that it wouldn't be worth the risk.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I wanted to talk about this Swamp Striker as one of the newest cards. It replaced the Murloc Tidehunter on tier 1. I feel has been such a cool addition to the meta here. And Collins himself had the chance to buy it, but instead he froze for the Puckbot, which we saw on his board, which I think is also a great card just to get that buddy meter rolling. But speaking of meter, one of the heroes that gets it up the quickest is Deathwing. And look at this Icky Imp start for Zoinyu. How do you think this is going to pan out?
I mean, this is beautiful for Zoinyu. Not only did he get the best minion as a pair for turn 1 and 2, he also gets the pirate so that he can Jeef curve up easily, because it's really hard on 5 gold right now. If you don't get a token, you can't buy 2 minions. If you get this pirate right here, you can level easily. Your money is so fluid, and that's super important in the early game. All these pro players know that their economy is something to keep in mind when making plays. So this was just the perfect start for Zoinyu.
And he's going to face up against Caramon on the Millhouse, which is generally you don't expect to win fights this early against Millhouse because they're able to spend their gold so much more efficiently and get additional minions. But we are going to see Zoinyu take just a minimal loss here as the Deathwing. The meter, though, just short of getting the buddy. However, it's still going to be very much on time next turn for Zoinyu. Taking a look over at the tiers on the left here, we do have Collins, Max 7 Key, Babofat, and Ponpada still on tier 1. Do you think they're all aiming for Warrior Curve?
Yeah, I could definitely see Warrior Curve besides Educated Collins on Lord Barov, who has a bit more flexible curve and can typically do a Rafam curve or a mixed Jeef curve. But I'm curious to see if he'll level this turn, and I'm very curious what Caramon's going to do with this triple in the shop. He has leveled, but 6 gold available. He could triple buy, but is he going to buy the Wrathweaver here? Because I don't think he really wants to triple into a 3-drop, but if he holds it in hand, he's less likely to get his buddy. So he is going to keep it on the board so that he can hold off on tripling till probably a 5 or a 4-drop.
I love this play. With Millhouse, you don't often get the opportunity to triple once you go beyond tier 1, I find, because your refreshes are so expensive. So I do like staying down on tier 1 for quite some time as Millhouse, and then sort of stockpile all of those triples until you have your buddy and keep cycling on tier 1. You can get even more of the triples, and then you can go for a 4 or a 5-drop, as you said. We can also take a look at the minion types that are banned from the lobby: Beast, Dragon, and Quillboard. Do you think that is going to inform Caramon's decision of what tavern tier to go for with the triple?
Yeah, so it used to be that that Millhouse would always go for Caligos on tier 6, which is unavailable this game, but there's a ton of options now with Millhouse, especially with elementals. So tripling into a Nomi early is excellent, as well as Avenge units on 4. So I definitely think a 5-drop is what he'll be going for, and not necessarily greeting out for the 6, which is a lot harder nowadays because they did make it more expensive to level from tier 4 to tier 5.
That's right. Millhouse with elementals and aiming for 5 definitely seems good to me. He could try and get a Nomi, and if not that, pirates are also in, and a Hogger is amazing for Millhouse, essentially making every pirate bot free. But we saw the setup there from Max 7 Key, a triple in the board and a triple in the shop as well. Lots of potential to go for a 5 as well, and I definitely am looking at the Scabs and Millhouse for power spikes. But now we have Collins with a bunch of money saved up here, and this is something I always struggle with Barov. Like, how greedy can you get with the coins? Are you supposed to wait for your buddy to get in hand here, or maybe spend some on an additional minion right now?
Yeah, I love going for the triple now. It'd be a 4, but it looks like Collins is holding off so that he could use his gold, maximizing it with the buddy. He should be getting to his buddy this next turn because we see how high the meter is, and it is a tier 3 buddy. So I do love that he is just trying to actively use this gold with the buddy to double its potential and trying to get to those early 5 or 6 drops.
Right, and Barov tends to take a bit of damage in this early game while trying to level and hoarding the coins, but it works out perfectly for Collins here because we saw that Max 7 key was greeting a bit on his triples, so Collins got all the value trades with the Raft Weavers, gets the buddy pretty much perfect.
Everyone got the buddy there. I think only one person didn't. Like, buddies galore. It's raining buddies.
Hallelujah. That is going to be Wrathweaver bot for Collins here. I think he can straight away level to 4 because of this buddy. Every gold spent doubles up here, or rather every gold coin, I should say. And that means he can keep going up and up and up, and we'll see what the 5-drop he hits is.
Ooh.
What do you think?
I mean, you see a Nomi, you take a Nomi just for the viewers, right? But he's going to take SI7, the Murloc that poisons with Avenge 3. It is a safer pick than Nomi. Nomi can be a bit slow, and I think it is a risky play. It is quite early for Nomi, though, but with a Murloc on board, I think he's noticing that he could start getting some poison minions going.
Yeah, he's got the Tad on board as well as that Icky Imp, so a pretty good Avenge setup, like very possibly in the next fight could poison both the Tad and the Sefin, and maybe use that tempo from the poison minions to just level straight up to 6, something Barov can do pretty comfortably indeed. Moving over to Karamon's perspective here, he has taken his 5-drop as well. It is a Light Fang, which I want to say is not amazing for Millhouse, but at least affords him some tempo to win these next couple fights. When you don't get a super high direction 5-drop like this, what do you think he's going to go for? Just straight to 5?
Yeah, I think he's going to just try to use his different minion types on board to level to go find a Bran. But I'm actually surprised that he didn't pick the Nomi, because Nomi is a good minion for Millhouse, considering there is the Recycling Wraith on tier 4 to allow his so that he could flip through the shop for cheaper. Nomi just is a very good card for Millhouse. I'm very shocked he didn't pick it, but you know, he's a pro, so I'm not gonna question him.
Everyone's a Nomi hater these days, but Max 7 key absolutely snipes the Light Fang from the Scab's hero power and also gets the buddy due to his buddy Warden Fellwater. Basically, he's the better Millhouse right now with the brand already on board. This could get out of control really quickly. I'm a big fan of Scabs in the buddy meta. I just feel there's so many high rolly things you can do every time there is a buddy with Battle Cry in the lobby, for example, Gallywix or Yogg. You get so much value from your buddy as well here. Ends up with a Peggy, which is, you know, if you are actually Millhouse with the hero power included, you get a lot of stats with it. But Max 7 key is the Scabs here, so I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, I feel like, I wonder if he could have gotten the Nomi instead of the Light Fang, he would have maybe been a little bit happier. But Light Fang and Bran work so well together, and this taunt will be able to scale quite quickly as long as he can find some smoggers or other things to scale his elemental. He has a bit of a menagerie going, but yeah, it's not too impressive yet, but still good for the turn we're on.
Absolutely. I'm pretty interested to see whether he will stick in one direction later on, because I don't feel that Menagerie is quite valuable as an end game comp, especially if Quillbores are not here. But with that brand, this looks like a very viable setup to go for a first place if you can get to tier 6 and hit those Amalgadons. And because it's the very first game of the day, I think it is very reasonable to try and just get the best result possible. No need to play safe quite yet. I'm pretty curious as to what the Mutinous is up to, because this is one of my favorite heroes in the current meta. Haven't seen it quite so far, nor the Maiev, who is also my favorite and most won hero of all time. But we do see it's Babo Fats, who is admittedly one of the players we're less familiar with, representative from Germany, who has a very wry sense of humor based on his interviews. Got a lot of Divine Shield, so that's the good setup. Managed to get use of that buddy. But over here, Panpada on Maiev, finally stabilizing a little bit with a 6-drop here, but I can't see the rest of the board, so I can't tell what he's going to take, but okay, that's a lot of mix.
Yeah, and he had 2 triples, so Omega Buster is direction, and then he could take a second or Foe Reaper. Now we see he has Amalgadon, Seafood Slinger, and Mama. he takes the Imp Mama for tempo, and it's going to add a lot, especially with that golden mechano tank at the end. He has a very tempo-oriented board, but keep in mind he's in what I call the danger zone. He is below 15 health, and that means he can die at any moment. So he needs to play as tempo-oriented as possible from this point on. So you see he's going to put all his mechano tank at the end to try to maximize how much damage gets shot out. Just as many tokens as possible.
I also love this ghoul tech decision from Ponpada, which is not something you often see this early on in the game, but you're facing a Mutinous here as Ponpada, and he absolutely knows Mutinous. The best thing they can do with their buddy and hero power is to buff up Divine Shield minions, so that ghoul is there to pay respect to it and make sure that Ponpada can get ahead in the fight. Ponpada, one of the most prominent members of the Japanese BG community, has also participated in some international community tournaments. However, I'm going to stop myself there. The ghoul didn't die. Uh-oh.
Didn't die, and it had value with the Imp Mama, and it's just, you know, there's only 2 Divine Shields left. So the Imp Mama is, this Imp Mama's not going to be able to feed at this point. There's a little bit of feeding for the Imp Mama. She needs to aim right. Oh, it's just the end of her.
That is not a Tavish. That's an Imp Mama. They're not aiming where you want you to.
No, but it still looks like he's going to have enough to win the fights, and unless it gets sniped, but I think we're good. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
He's not going down yet.
The Buster comes in clutch here, and wow, it's going to end up just being 3 microbots left for Ponpada, which means not too much damage on Babofat, but it is going to take him below the damage cap as well. So at least 2 players in the danger zone now, like you mentioned. But taking a look on the other side of the spectrum, top 2 players here, Summer and Bayu, are 2 representatives from China in Lobby A, absolutely dominating here. On the Daryl, though, I feel this is around the turn they start to fall off a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, this is around the turn. He's buffed up 2 minions. He's holding off a turn to scale this replicating menace on the far left because he can attach that to his deflecto bot. So it looks like he's just kind of saving up gold, feeling safe here, especially because he's not in the danger zone, where we do have 4 players below 15 health in that danger zone. Summer from China is on Edwin, who we don't see often, but he has a lot of tempo because he has 3 Divine Shield minions who are getting all these stats. His buddy online getting strong and thick over there. So he's looking quite healthy, and I think he's in a good position. I'm still just surprised to see Edwin in this tournament because I just barely see him on the ladder anymore. But like we said earlier, China does have a different meta than us, so we're going to see different gameplays from them.
They've had a different meta, I suppose, the last we've seen from them, and truly the last big showcase was at HGI a few months ago. Like, they could have changed playstyle quite a bit, and what I'm seeing in common from both of these boards is just very, very heavy tempo play. Like, I think both Summer and Bayu were very conservative about preserving their health so far, but their scaling doesn't look quite so strong as the potential from some of our other players. So perhaps just trying to secure top 4s as consistently as possible, which is what we talked about, the name of the game for this first day of the tournament, could work out very well for them here. But that trade of the buddy into the Divine Shield of the Deflecto bot means that Summer is going to take 10 damage here from the Daryl, probably more than he was expecting.
And we see Educated Collins over here on Lord Baroff taking a ton of damage from Maiev. Yes, because Maiev has so many 6 drops online, but can't take more than 15 because he is not in the danger zone. He is free to survive, but he is now in the danger zone, and nobody died that turn. Everyone stayed alive. We just have more players in that danger zone. It looks like we're going to have a lot of players going out on the same turn in this grindy lobby, with only 3 players secure from dying: Zoinyu, Summer, and Bayu above 15.
crazy. Players just surviving by the skin of their teeth. That was absolutely the story during the qualification as well. We know these are top players that are very careful when they need to be, but it's so hard to play safe at this point. Collins on tier 6 with a Seafood Slinger, looking for more Amalgadons. Doesn't find a Primal Fin, but is starting to hedge here, just taking a golden on Felfin Navigator. What is the other 6-drop? These are not great. Eliza, some tempo.
Yeah, the Amalgadon has the Wind Fury, so that will work a bit. Yeah, he has a lot of money this turn, so he's going to be scaling way bigger than he was last turn. And oh, another Seafood Slinger, not quite what he was looking for, but gets another good Murloc from the shop. So maybe this one has the gold.
We'll see.
The Amalgadon. Oh,
another Seafood Slinger. We can go again, but the rope is burning. Oh my goodness, this is where I fall apart, Slissa. I am a low APM player. That is why disasters happen, but Collins can make this work still.
Oh,
it's just Slinger after Slinger.
Cool, calm, collected Collins. Able to get his hero power in that last minute too. And think about it, he kept his chill. He is on top of it, but will he survive to this mill house?
Big 50-50 at the beginning here. Does it or go straight into the shield? And it went straight into the shield, but that Soul Devourer going on the Bran is a great outcome for Collins. He just wants to get as many Avenge activations as possible. That's why he positioned his Murlocs in the back. Could this end as a tie potentially?
This is looking fine. This is looking in Collins' favor. And he will not knock. He'll put my Millhouse to 1 health. So again, very grindy lobby. Did anyone? Oh, we have 1 out. It's
yeah, Max 7 key is our first casualty of the lobby. The Scabs was looking very, very good with those triple setups, but something went wrong along the way. However, Collins is truly popping off now. That is a golden Primal Fin. That is potentially many Amalgadons, but I feel like somebody else in this lobby has been hoarding them because he just cannot find any Amalgadons.
No, he has another, again, a miss. So takes the little rag, just, picks up whatever. Still looking. He has money, especially with this Tempest in hand. Curious to see. No, he won't have a way to get it out with the little rag.
Yeah, I just don't think he has the board space. He has to fully commit to Murlocs here. Mechs are in, so also looking for an Anoya module to stick onto the Amalgadon. Unfortunately, he did lose his bet, so he can't quite get any value from his buddies on this turn. I expect he's just going to hold them in hand here. However, these shops have not been particularly great, and the Mutinous is going to have Divine Shields almost certainly, so Collins potentially also looking for a Ghoul at the end here. We did get word from our production specialist, Sottle here, who is shot calling. Thank you so much. That nobody else has Amalgadons in play, which is insane. Collins just has not been hitting, even though nobody's been hoarding them.
No, that's incredible to me that we have not seen any Amalgadon. Maybe they were taken out of the meta for this game today, just so we wouldn't see anything wild happen. Not sure, but we did not find the Ghoul, what we were talking about. I know Collins was likely looking for it, but he'll just end on this selfless hero to get a Divine Shield on one of his poisons and pray that this is enough. And we switch on over to Zornyu, who's on Deathwing and playing a Scam Pirate comp, one of my favorites. This Scam Pirate comp allows endless scallywags to attack into the opponent for some very fun and interactive gameplay.
It's true. One of your favorite comps and also Zoyanyu's favorite comp. Like, we did get the chance to ask some of our players questions about their favorite minions and heroes, etc. And Zoyanyu answered his favorite comp is Exodia Pirates, as we fondly call it. And it is very much coming to fruition here. He has so many stats here, I think way more than enough to beat on the Daryl. The comp does feel very powerful, but I feel it's also potentially one of the most counterable. If your opponent has the read on it, they can try and tech in Void Lords or Acolyte of Cthulhu to actually stop there being board space once enough Scally tokens go in. But obviously the Daryl didn't quite have the read, and they are dead because of it.
Yes, there's no longer a 15 damage cap, and so Bayou on Daryl, who we talked about was this top 4 hero, but 4 people are out. Someone died to the ghost of Cutter Butter. Max 7 Keys ghost goes and kills somebody's body. Oh no, we are into our top 3 with Educated Collins. We got Zoinu and Pompado on my Ev in the top 3. A 4-way tie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the points are going to be so tight down there with our entire middle of the bracket going out on the same turn. Collins also bet on the Ghost not winning that fight, so he didn't get the gold here, but I think he's still fine. He was popping off with the Primal Fins. We do take a look at Panpada here, who has been one of the most consistent performers in Japanese community tournaments and also international community tournaments. Pocky Plays, who is a very friendly and amazing streamer who has hosted a bunch of those tournaments. Panpada has basically won all of them. And many people in the community have referred to Panpada as just being the best in the world right now, currently dominating on the Maiev, even though he was at 8th place a few turns ago, getting rewarded for his patience. Earlier in that turn, we did see him skip over a Kangor's Apprentice triple. Do you want to go into why that's correct, Lissa?
Yeah, so if you triple at Kangors, it will read that your first 4 mechs that die get resummoned, and it's way better that your first 2 mechs get resummoned twice, because you're trying to target your Omega Busters to be resummoned, as opposed to the ones that come out of the Omega Busters. So tripling Kangor is what we call a bait, and we don't do that. So yes, obviously the correct play.
Yeah, that's right. There's often not enough board space to get all 4 of those resummons from the Golden Kangor. So Panpada, way too good for that. Never going to get baited here. But we do have what looks to be at first a close fight, but it really depends where these Scally tokens go, right? There's a few ways for them here. Okay, got some space now, and now there's even less minions that the Scally can value trade over. And actually, as the Exodia Pirate, Zoinu doesn't want to value trade with the Scallies. He wants as much board space as possible so he can get many attacks and keep buffing the Pirates with these Golden Elizas.
Yep. That's the only downfall to this comp, is that these Scallies, if they don't die and there's no board space, they will not summon. So as you see here, there's no longer board space unless this dies, and now he's locked out. He will not get any more Scallywags summoned. So this is the downfall to the comp, is that they can get countered by small minions. Small minions are king in this game, apparently. I always thought that was the big minions, but it's the scary little ones that can do the damage.
Right. However, these trades are still going very well for Zoinu. I mean, he sniped that Mechano tank relatively early towards the end here. We can see, however, that this Deflectobot lives, and it depends as to whether, okay, it has killed most of the relevant minions, so Panpada still can see another round here, and I'm sure Collins is still alive as the person who faced the Ghost. And now, oh yeah, he finally found an Amalgadon and a triple. And this is a great time to ask you a little bit about sort of the interplay of the different endgame comps in Battlegrounds. Some people say there's a triangle of big stats beats tokeny mech boards, tokeny mech boards beats poisons, and poisons beats the big stats. So with that interplay, who do you think is most favored here?
Yeah, it's paper, rock, scissors, as you were just saying. But the thing about Collins and his Murlocs is they have a ton of stats on it. So these token mechs lose to big stats, but they beat Murlocs. But if your Murlocs are big enough, they will survive. So I think as long as Collins keeps pushing with the brand, I believe he still had a brand on board to keep pushing stats, he should be fine. And he's probably unwilling to sell brand until he knows that he's in the top 2. Oh, he does not have the brand. That's my apologies. So he's not going to be able to scale as well. But with this triple in shop, that is one huge Murloc, over 100 health. I think he might be big enough.
But there might not be a next turn, so honestly, I'm super curious about Panpada's turn as well, because we did see him end up with the Baron on the very last chop, had to sell out of his big tank to have the gold to buy it, which I think was the correct decision. Painful to part with it, but he absolutely wants more stats here. However, he did end up tripling the Kangors, and in this niche situation where he actually has 5 Omega Busters essentially with a golden and 2 normal ones, I think it does make sense.
Yes, we're able to snipe the Baron from Collins' side. You love to see the early snipe, and if you can early snipe the Kangors and there's no space, which he did, he sniped it, so only 2 minions summoned, only 1 Omega Buster. The problem is, can we get the plants to knock off the Divine Shields? That is the dream for Collins right now. Plants need to do good work. Oh, the miss.
Oh man,
One more. Oh.
tale of two biases here. I'm like, the early snipe on the Baron. I'm like, oh no, and you're like, we love to see the early snipe on the Baron.
The APAC.
Oh look, I am a Collins fan, but I am first and foremost an APAC caster, and this is Collins. I think based
Look at him jamming out. Look at his happiness. You cannot love educated Collins. His plants has put in work, knocked off divine shields, sniped the Kangaroo, sniped the Barons, putting him into top 2 with Zoin Yu. That is a double America's top 2 with Zoin Yu from Brazil and educated Collins from USA. I'm not going to take sides, but yeah, I'm just going to point that out.
All right, we have 2 America's players in top 2. We have a Europe player in the bottom. I just know that this is not constructed. It is a whole different ball game, Slissa. I am not used to it, but I am very much enjoying this neck and neck end game. And we do have, of course, the interplay of the big poison Murlocs versus Scally comp, which I'm sure Collins will be aware that is what Zoin Yu is running. How do you think he's going to tech around it here?
So having, small little, what we talked about, the acolytes, to make sure that the scallywags don't die, there is a module in shop. I think, so one way to defeat the scallywag comp is to have these tiny small minions so that the scallywags don't die. But if you have enough stats, then you just win. But the problem is we know that Zoin Yu has a lot of golden Elizas, so...
Definitely close here. I mean, that module can be played individually. Oh, he even sells his poison taunt, which is huge, to make sure that the scallywags don't immediately die when going into them. He plays the module just straight up and buys a Void Lord. He is willing to play down to 6 minion Andy mode in order to be as strong as possible against the Scally comp. This is very, very clever stuff. I think it's gonna work out for him here. Didn't even go for the golden selfless because he knows it's not about shielding the poisons here. It's about stopping the Scallies from multiplying.
Yep, I love this play from Collins. He had a read. He knew that his opponent, Zoin Yu, was playing the scam comp, the scam pirates, as I call them. The true name Exodia. The perfect tech, the perfect play around, and it looks good news for educated Collins. But is it going to be enough stats on the Murlocs to defeat the other side of the board?
Slissa, you told me you didn't know card names, but I didn't think it was so bad that you thought the true name of this comp is Exodia. That is not from Hearthstone. That is also a community-made name. But however, 1 minute time, you don't get to react because it's gonna keep going.
We have more time. I wonder if Zoin Yu will drop an Eliza, because one way you can get around having these small taunts is to have less Eliza, but it's not going to work out to beating these Murlocs. So possibly a zap early to get rid of the Anoia module. Yeah, a lot of decisions to be made from Zoin Yu's side.
It's so weird that it's the Scally player that's looking for a zap here when it's usually the player that's going against the Scally comp that wants to play for zap, which could, potentially still be useful for Collins here. We do see it would hit the Ghoul first if ever, but let's say the Ghoul were to attack first from Zoin Yu. I feel like there's a chance that the zap could still get some work done against the Baron, even if it's golden, because there's no Quillbar in this lobby, and so there's no chance for Zoin Yu to just add stats as he pleases onto his tech minions and make them more resilient against Zap. I don't think either player has hit the Zap though, so it comes down to a positioning war. What do you think Zoin Yu should go for?
Yeah, so one thing that Zoin Yu is looking at is putting the Eliza first, but then it wouldn't create space. And you need space for the Khadgar to be able to work, which is why you usually either play down a minion or play a Ghoul. So I think he's hoping to attack first with this Selfless. And we're going to see how it turns out. He does not get to attack first, meaning that he's not going to get the Khadgar value here.
That's huge. But also we can take a look at Zoinyu's hand. He has 2 zaps just saved up in the bank. You talked about how he could potentially play it to snipe the module, but instead he's bought them, I think, purely just to deny them from the pool for Collins, because in Battlegrounds on tier 6, there's only 7 total copies of each tier 6 minion available. The fact that Zoinyu has hoarded 2 zaps means it's less likely that Colin can find it and try and use that to tech around here. However, the way these trades are going, I honestly cannot tell who's going to be in the lead. Do you have any ideas?
It looks like it's going to Zoinyu because of the Divine Shield, or I'm not sure. But I wanted to point out with the zaps as well, he might be waiting to triple it, because if it's triple zap, then he can guarantee to get through the Void Lord and the module.
We just can't tell because we don't know how many Scallies are left, but it looks like the train ends there. The Golden Khadgar, Golden Baron, still getting a lot of work done. However, I think this should always go to Zoinyu because there was simply not enough health on the Murloc to deal with the 2 remaining big minions, and because he's on tier 6 with a tier 5 minion surviving, that is the perfect 11 damage needed for the exact kill and the first place finish for Collins. So in our rehearsal, our observer who is playing Zoinyu won, and it's actually just come to fruition now in real life. I can't believe
it's scripted. It's all scripted. I knew it. So we can see the point breakdown here. Zoinyu in first currently with 7 points. Educated Collins with 6. Pampada with 5. And a huge tie between Stubborn Bayou, Baba Fat, and Karaman with 2.5 points each. Max 7 Key with 0 points, but 2 more games to go to try to make his comeback.